cavity tissue. It forms throughout life and covers the roots of the teeth. Hence, cemental annulations or cemental lines which can be used for detecting the age of an individual because it is formed throughout life. It was first demonstrated in 1845 by two pupils of the classical physiologist Jane Evangelist Perkins. Starts from cervical portion of tooth and continues till the apex of the root and surrounds the apical foramen. Now, although part of the tooth is also considered as a component of the attachment apparatus and an integral part of the periodontium. So, the cementum is not only part of the tooth, it is part of the attachment apparatus because the sharpest fibers from periodontal ligament help it to anchor the tooth in the socket, and it is also an integral part of the periodontium. It is ectomesenchymal in origin. What are the physical characteristics of this particular cementum? It is less mineralized than that of dentine but similar to bone. We have already covered with the enamel and dentine, and we are doing with cementum. We covered with bone, so it is very similar to bone but it is less mineralized than that of the dentine. Now coming to color, it is light yellow to dark yellow in color. The surface is not shiny or lustrous like enamel, but it is dark hue, it is dull. Permeability, however, is said to be more than dentine to few materials, but this permeability decreases with age. Now, the thickness of cementum is varied in between various teeth and between the same teeth in various regions. It is thinnest at the cemento-enamel junction, where it accounts to 2 to 50 microns. It is thickest at the apical region and interradicular areas, where it may be 150 to 200 microns. Now, radiographically, because it is very similar to bone and it is slightly less mineralized than that of dentine, we are not able to differentiate it on the radiogram, except when there is hypercementosis formation or any cemental bone pathology, cemental pathology which may be seen. Chemical composition: inorganic contents 45 to 50%, organic constants are 50 to 55%. Organic content: calcium phosphate in the form of hydroxyl crystals. Minerals: among all the minerals which are found in the cementum, fluoride is said to be in higher content of all the mineralized tissue. Inorganic content: basically you have primarily type 1 collagen. The other types of collagen are type 3, type 5, type 6 and type 12. Apart from this, you have lot of different proteoglycans like chondroitin sulfate, hyaluronate, keratin sulfates. You have non-collagenous proteins also which play a role in matrix deposition and all, like bone protein, osteopontin, and then you have different growth factors which are present in this particular structure. There are basically three cells which are present in the cementum. You have the cementoblast. Again, blast, it is a forming cell. These cells form the cementum, the synthesized collagen and protein polysaccharide, which make up the organic matrix of the cementum. They contain numerous mitochondria, a well-formed Golgi apparatus, and a large amount of granular endoplasmic reticulum. They are basically inner cells of the dental follicle, which differentiate from the Hertwig's epithelial sheath. So there are some differences between the cementum, which is cementoblast forming cellular cementum, cementoblast forming acellular cementum. But cementoblast forming cellular cementum are derived from the dental follicle. They have a similar phenotype to osteoblast. They express receptors for parathormone and they express osteopontin and osteocalcin. The cementoblast forming acellular cementum, they are derived from the Hertwig's epithelial sheath. Phenotypically, they are different from osteoblasts. They do not express receptors for parathormone and they express only osteopontin and not osteocalcin. There are some differences between now these cells. Once they finish the function, they get embedded again in the cementum, and these embedded cells in the cementum are called as cementocytes, like the osteocytes. So there are some differences between these cementocytes and the osteocytes. The lacunae are ovoid, they are tubular. The canaliculus are less complicated and sparse. The canaliculus are directed towards the periodontal surface because it is avascular cementum. It needs its nutrition from the periodontal ligament, immunopositive for modulus and lubricant, and they are less in number for unity. There's osteocytes, their lacunae are ovoid, canalicular complex cells, they are radiating, they're negative for fibromodulus and lubricant, and they are more in number. The next cells are the cementoclasts. Now, cementoclasts are cells responsible for resorption of cement. But these cells are normally not safe. Why? Because cementum is less susceptible to resorption. Now, only when there is shedding of deciduous teeth is evident, these cells become evident, or when there is excessive orthodontic pressure, then you may have a cemental resorption, which is very rare. These cells are vacuolated, multilocular, or mononuclear nucleus cells. The cytoplasm has projection towards the absorbing cement, and they are present again in the Haus's lacunae. Now these cells are also called as odontoclasts because they can resorb the dentine also. Then you have the process of cementogenesis. How it forms, we all know the cementum basically is derived from the ectomesenchyme that is preceded by the deposition of dentine along the inner aspect of the cortex epithelial root sheath. And when this cortex epithelial root sheath breaks down, it allows the newly formed dentine to come in direct contact with the connective tissue of the dental follicle. And this connective tissue cells then differentiate into cementoblasts, which lay down the layer of cementum over the radicular dentine. So ultimately then these cortex epithelial root sheath is dissolved. Some of the cells transform into cementoblasts. Some of the cells degenerate, die, undergo cell destruction, undergo apoptosis. Some cells migrate towards the dental sac and get embedded in the periodontal ligament. And these which get embedded in the periodontal ligament are called as epithelial cell rhizoanalysis, and some of the cells get incorporated into the cement. There are also a lot of molecular bases for cementogenesis, various growth factors like transforming growth factor beta, bone morphogenetic protein, platelet-derived growth factor, fibroblastic growth factor. There are different addition molecules like bone sialoprotein, osteopontin, different collagens like type 1, type 3, and type 12, transcription factors, signaling molecules which are very important like osteoproteogenin and RANKL. RANK and RANKL play a very important role in the formation of even bone and resorption and remodeling of the bone also. Cementoid tissue, growth of the cementum is a rhythmic process, and as a new layer of cementum is formed, the old one basically calcifies, and this cementoid tissue is lined by the cementoblast, and the connective tissue fibers from the periodontal ligament pass between the cementoblast into the cementum, and they get embedded, and the embedded portions are known as the Sharpey's fibers. You must have seen these slides under the microscope. The Sharpey's fibers are composed of numerous collagen fibrils that pass well into the cementum. The cementoid tissue is not seen as acellular extrinsic fiber cementum. There are also incremental lines of Salter. Now, what are these incremental lines of Salters? These incremental lines of Salter are basically the rhythmic deposition of the cementum. They can be seen both in acellular cementum and the cellular cementum. What other types of cementum that you have? Based on the presence or absence of cells, you have cellular cementum or acellular cementum. Based on presence or absence of fibers, you have afibrillar cementum, fibrillar cementum. Based on types of fibers, you have extrinsic fiber cementum and intrinsic fiber cementum. By combining various types of fibers and presence or absence of cementocytes, different types of cementums are acellular extrinsic fiber cementum, cellular intrinsic fiber cementum, acellular afibrillar cementum, acellular intrinsic fiber cementum, cellular and acellular mixed fiber cementum, and cellular mixed stratified cementum. So this is how you will see the different types of the cementum. Cellular and acellular cementum is basically because of the presence of and absence of cementocytes. Deposition rate is faster in cellular cementum. It is formed from the acellular cementum, which can be highly variable. It is also called as a secondary cementum, and in this the Sharpey's fibers may be partially mineralized and incremental lines are irregular. Where they are more regular, more closely packed in acellular cementum, and this cementum is called as the primary cementum. There are also differences between acellular extrinsic fiber cementum, acellular intrinsic fiber cementum. Acellular is located from cervical to the apical third, whereas apical third and furcations are having the cellular intrinsic fiber cementum. Now, acellular intrinsic fiber cementum, they are formed earlier, that's what we talked about. They have different growth factors. Cementoid is usually absent. They contain the extrinsic fibers of the periodontal ligament, and the main function is anchorage. There's probably only one type of cementum in the single rooted tooth. They have slow formation, and the cementocytes are not seen here because the acellular cementoblasts do not express the parathormone receptors. And the cementoblast was suggested to be derived from the cortex epithelial root sheath, whereas cellular intrinsic fiber cementum, the cementoblasts are derived from the inner cells of the dental follicle. Now, we know that the cementum is meeting the enamel. When you see the crown and the root is demarcated by a cervix, which is the neck of the tooth. And this is where the cementum and the enamel basically meet. And this is called as the cemento-enamel junction. There are three types of cemento-enamel junction. that is the overlap junction, the gap junction, and the edge-to-edge junction. Now, what you have in the overlap junction is that the cementum is overlapping the enamel. So, what happens in case of this one? The first picture is of an overlap junction. Because the Hertwig's epithelial root shape which is present, adhesion is faster. The cells will come in contact with the reduced enamel epithelium degenerates, and the Hertwig's epithelial root shapes come in contact, and they will form the form the cementum in that area. And if there is an early degeneration of the Hertwig's epithelial root shape in that area, then you find an overlap junction. Whereas when they form adjacent to each other, they are called as the edge-to-edge junction. Now, 60% of the cement enamel junction are basically overlap. 30% they meet at edge-to-edge junction, and 10% they are the gap junctions. You also have the cemento-dentanal junction. They smooth in the permanent teeth, but sometimes they scallop in the deciduous teeth. They clearly visible in decalcified and stained histologic sections using the light microscope. They have a wide zone, as you can see here. There are large quantities of collagen along with glycosamine glycans, contact sulfate, and dermatan sulfate, which can be seen. The cemental fibers intermingle with dentinal fibers at CT junction, more in cellular compared to the acellular cementum. You also have the intermediate cemental layer. Now, this intermediate cemental layer does not have properties neither of dentine nor of the cementum. It is said to be a hyaline layer, also called as a hyaline layer of Hopkins-Smith. It is predominantly seen in the apical 2/3 of the roots of molars and premolars, and rarely observed in incisors and deciduous teeth. It is dentinal in origin, contains no tubules but wide spaces throughout, which may be continuous or isolated. What is the function of cementum? Anchorage, attachment of collagen fibers that bind the tooth to the alveolar bone by way of the Sharp's fibers. Adaptation, functional adaptation of the teeth is possible. So, what is the functional adaptation of these particular teeth? The functional adaptation of the teeth is basically when there is any adhesion, the root will grow, the cementum will form, and then what is going to happen? It is going to adjust the functional clinical adaptation. Repair, there is damage to roots such as fractures and resorptions can be repaired by the deposition of new cementum. So you also have hypercementosis, so there is abnormal thickening of the cementum. It may be diffuse or it may be circumscribed. It may affect all teeth or may be confined to a single tooth or even affects parts of one tooth. Now there are various forms of this hypercementosis. We can see prong-like or excementosis, and they may usually seen in non-functioning teeth. Hypercementosis generalized can be seen in Paget's disease, forming a cuff around the radicular portion. So clinical considerations, we have cementum is basically avascular, orthodontic tooth movement is seen, repair of cementum, anatomic repair, and functional repair. Cemental tears are there. Idiopathic inflammation or excessive occlusive stress is hypercementosis of cementum, and protective ability of the